Good evening and welcome to another night here at Joesph and the amazing All-Star Concert Highlights. Hope you're doing well. Good evening. Hope you're staying safe. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We are ready to put your questions forward. Thank you if you've already got them in. We've chosen some of the best and you can keep them coming throughout the Q&A just below on the comments. Put them in there. Throw your name in there as well and get your questions across to the gentleman that we are chatting to tonight. It is none other than Mike Holoway. Mike, are you there, buddy? Guess not. Unless this is another case of you can see him and you can hear him and I can't. Technical, as always. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get him into the chat anytime soon. And we'll be able to chat to him, put these questions. Look at the questions we've got here. Some amazing questions that I'll put to him when I can see him and when I can hear him. Because right now I can't. We had this problem before and then we got it sorted. And then I think it's like the go-to now, isn't it? Everyone looks forward to seeing how Adam copes when the technology doesn't work and all the pressure falls on me. Well, they're getting the money's without me, aren't they? Still no sign of him, so we'll wait. Remember, you can comment below on the video. I'm sure you're all commenting now going, we can see him, we can hear him. I can't, so that's a bit difficult for an interview. But you can comment below any questions that you want to put to Mike. He's had a glittering career, TV, theatre, music. Get them in, comment below. And we'll ask them to Mike when we eventually get him on and I'm able to see him and chat to him. I did see him before we went live, wearing a bright white vest. He looks like he's been on holiday, but we know he hasn't because we're not allowed. But just goes to show if you sit in your back garden, what a Costel back garden, I think we like to call it. Some questions coming in already through message and through comments. Thank you very much. So keep them coming. And we'll get them to him when we get to see him and hear him here on Joesph. Remember, we are excited for this amazing concert that's going to be happening very soon. Some big names that we've been chatting to. I'm just being told in my ear that we're just going to go to a holding screen and then I'm going to come back. Fingers crossed. So hopefully that'll sort the technical issue. So bear with us. Are we live? Is it working? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Fingers. Mike, there we go. How are you, buddy?
Hey, absolutely fine. Look, the weather's good. I'm sitting, the window in front of me. The sun is streaming through here.
Yeah.
Hey, it puts you in a lighter mood, the sun. There's no doubt about it.
It does, and you're looking very colourful, which is perfect for Joesph, which I know you're very excited to be part of. It's in your blood, and it's in your history. It's an iconic musical. We've got loads of questions to put to you for many of you fans that have been in touch. Are you ready, Mike?
Well, I could be. Yeah, go on.
All right, buddy, let's get straight into it. First of all, Diane Davies, will you ever tour as Joesph again? You were the best, she says.
Well, it's a funny thing. The bottom line is that, hey, it's like a lot of things in life, things mature, things change. We do as human beings. What I'm proud of, whoever's best, whoever's number one, is irrelevant. What I'm proud of is no one can take away from me. I hold the record as the longest serving over a 24-year period.
Wow.
Played him thousands and thousands of times. In the West End, on tour, around Europe. And that's something that I'm very proud of. So hence the question, to get back to that, yes, I've done things like Brothers Beyond, which is like a celebration concert of what we called the pioneers of Joesph. Because without
there we go, we can see you there.
Yeah. That's amazing. Because without us pioneers, again, whoever's got views and opinions on things, I love. But we, the pioneers, for 20 years, played to tens of hundreds of thousands of people around Europe and around the UK. And I remember back in the day when we'd go to a big theatre and it was half full. And we'd go back and it was rammed to the rafters. And we were doing 2 and 3 shows a day. So there you go.
That's quite a credit to hold, that, isn't it? When you say it like that, I guess when you were living it, it didn't seem like that. Maybe when you stepped out of it and then looked back and saw how popular you were, it must have been quite humbling.
Well, also, what it was that I was so grateful to a wonderful, wonderful man, a great talent called David Stedman, who was a superb MD. And we did things with the score. We put the long notes in. We put the high notes in.
Yeah.
We transcended the pathos because, again, in those days, mid 80s to early 90s, we had no trickery. There was no click tracks.
Yeah.
There was no vocoders. There was no voice enhancers or vocal tuners.
Yeah.
It was just pure what you delivered every night. Oh, God, I get goosebumps now because it was phenomenal. They were up going mental by their thousands in 1984 at the
Wow.
Liverpool Empire. Twice a day, every day.
That's amazing. And that's such a great venue as well. So that was Diane Davis's question. Let's go on to Charmaine now. She would like to know, what was Mike required to do for his Joesph audition? And if that involved singing, what song did you sing?
Well, I had to try a loincloth on.
Okay.
Otherwise, because, back in the day, you kind of had to look okay in a loincloth.
Yes.
Now you can get away with all sorts of things and whatever. But so that was that. He'd already, Henry Metcalfe, who again is a great man. He's one of the pioneers of the choreographical side of Joesph. And he saw me in a big musical at the Dominion Theatre with Keith Harris called Humpty Dumpty. And I was playing Tommy Tucker. It was a musical written by Bobby Crush. And it was phenomenal. Jackie Scott was in it.
Wow.
Keith Harris with Orville, of course. And
Legend.
they saw me. They saw me perform. So that was a given. But they wanted to see how I looked in a loincloth. So there you go.
So that what do you think nailed it for you before the singing? Had you already packaged it there with the loincloth?
Yeah. I had one made, specially.
I admire your honesty, Mike. Going on to Alison McCrombie now. Does any particular performance stand out in your memory? If so, what is the reason?
Right. The one performance that really stands out to me big time is that we'd got the go-ahead to go back into the West End, to the Royalty Theatre, which is now the Peacock Theatre in the West End of London. And we were going to do a big Christmas run there. And Tim Rice had not long opened a musical that you may have heard of called Chess.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Okay, yeah. And we were ripping the place. We couldn't get out the stage door. It was like a pop gig. It was packed. They were standing and screaming. And the run ended early because that's what Andrew wanted. But Tim ran on stage, ran up to a full audience, and Tim Rice grabbed the microphone, congratulated me and the company, and said he would give anything to have a reaction like that to a show that he's just opened down the road. So that was one of my special moments. Good performances.
Yeah, brilliant choice. Lynn Cameron, what is your favourite song, Mike, from Joesph to sing?
Okay, well, from a singer's point of view, the only song is "Close Every Door," because again, if you pathos it correctly, but vocally tune it and timbre it in the emotive way through the words, which is how I was trained to sing. It's okay being a singer, but there's the words, and that's the key to get those emotions into the words. And if that's done right, "Close Every Door" can just tear your heart out.
It's quite a common one. Whilst we've been asking various other people that have been involved in Joesph throughout the weeks, it's one that keeps coming up. It's such an iconic tune. Most people would think Any Dream would do, but "Close Every Door" seems to be the one. Yeah,
because if you play the role in the way that it should be, you get the empathy of Joesph being beaten up and being roughed up.
Yeah.
And providing that through the piece and its directing, you get that pathos and emotion correct. The power of "Close Every Door" is goosebumps. It's just unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Michelle, is there a CD or DVD with you as Joesph available? If so, where can we find it? Michelle wants to see more of you.
Michelle, you can see more. Look, here we go. Look. Anyway, look, what I'm saying is that there is a vinyl, I gather, that is available. And that was in the days when it was vinyl LPs. In the late 80s. But I've got my own versions. I sing live in my radio show, as my listeners know. Musical hits, and also I've done a Joesph sequence. In answer to your question, there isn't the CD, but there are versions of me singing the songs. Mike Holoway music at gmail.com is where I am. And there is a vinyl album of me singing Joesph, which was released by Bill Kenwright. So that is around there somewhere.
I'm sure Michelle will find it. She'll be right there, along with your Gmail, on the eBay and the Amazon.
Marvellous job.
Amanda Dawes, Mike, when I did Joesph with you, every time the show came to the Empire Theatre in Liverpool, I was one of the kids in the choir. So this is Amanda. The MD was David Stedman, as we've previously mentioned. He used to scare the hell out of me. What was he really like as a person? Was he strict with the cast as well?
Yes. I mean, he and I came from the same stable. This is what I keep going back to. Dare I say it, back then, there was 4 rifle mics across the stage, and there was one microphone. There wasn't all these big pop rigs and vocoders and click tracks and backtracks and all this malarkey. It was just pure power and pure talent. And you learned your craft to be a powerful, charismatic singer, which is very different to just standing up with 2 or 3 lavalier microphones on your head and someone just turning it up to full so they can hear you. My God, yes, he was strict, but wow, the power and the dynamic, and especially the brothers, they are the backbone of Joesph. And, when it got to the pieces of the show, like each of the brothers fell to his knees, oh, show him some mercy, almighty one, please. There was all these crescendos and dynamics that were put in. And when you had 11 guys doing it for real, again, absolutely gobsmacking, stunning. So yes, he was strict. So was I. I had my standards. But boy, did we have a team. We all beated the same drum. We all wanted the same. And we were a massive team doing great things. Yeah, he was very strict, and quite rightly so.
Do you think that strictness and high expectations is what maybe fueled the spectacular run that you had?
Well, it did indeed. John Swain, who was the most charismatic DSM stage manager ever on this planet, he may be listening to this. I mean, the man used to stand in the wings and he was driven by lights that faded, and he would watch the MD with the music. He'd follow the score, and then the tab would touch, or the cloth would touch just on the last beat. And therefore, when the next scene started, it had a different energy because it was all masterfully done. So every which way we worked that show, it was done absolutely like clockwork. But my God, the result was just gobsmacking.
It's brilliant. I guess it's something that people, when they're just sat in the audience or are fans of Joesph, don't get to see the pure strictness that would have been Joesph to begin with.
Yeah, well, here's an example. We were at the Bristol Hippodrome, and it was full, 2,000 people, and we got to how do I know who you are? Why do you think I should help you? Would you help me? Yes. And the rig went. The PA just went. So we all came down. I came down the treads, and we just did the rest of the show from that point on with piano and just vocals.
Wow.
And we just did it. And at the end, before the end, they were all standing up going mad.
That's brilliant.
Because everybody kicked in and we all did what we needed to do. There was no mics. It was just piano and just us and the narrator. We all pulled together as a team and we pulled it off. And another goosebump moment. It was just extraordinary. That was the team and camaraderie of feeling that we had that pushed across the footlights, and that you can't buy.
I guess that's part of the reason where the definition of the show must go on comes from.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I mean, no understudies. There was no, I've got a little tickle in my throat. My God, I can remember going on personally. I don't know how I did it. But you found a technique and an engine and a way and a determination, and we were all there. This is the key. We were all there for each other. If I was down, they were with me. If one of them was ill, we cloaked them. We helped each other. Oh, powerful. Very.
Sounds amazing. Lindsay Smith, she says, being my idol from a young age, I'd love to know who is yours. So who's your idol?
Okay.
Because you're Lindsay's.
Yeah, bless you, Lindsay, and that's so lovely of you to say. You'll be getting shout outs on on the radio, as you know. But my idols are Buddy Rich as a drummer, because I studied him from the age of 7 and studied his technique. Masterful that he was. Vocally, my singing teacher, who's no longer with us, was a man called Ian Adams. And he trained people like Michael Crawford, Sarah Brightman. And he was my idol because he gave me my technique. And without that, I would never have done the thousands of things that I've done in my singing career. And vocally, a vocal performer that I absolutely love, I love his voice, is Colin Wilkinson. So there you go.
There you go, Lindsay. Amanda Dawes, Mike, when you toured with Joesph, did you have to be careful not to lose your voice, like going out with the cast after the show?
That's a great question. And yes, I did. And I used to get ripped for it, not in a bad way, but you do. You do have to look after, because you're like an athlete in real term with the voice. And what I used to say to new brothers coming in, because I did nearly a 4-year stint straight through. And when new brothers came in, it was all a little bit, oh, he's up himself, or he's a bit, But the guys that were with me said, no, what you've got to realise is that he's Joesph. He's doing all the radios. He's doing all the press. Yeah. He's doing all the interviews. He doesn't get Sunday off. He's doing 2 shows a day. He's never off. Never off. There's no understudy. There's none of this, darling, I only do 8 shows a week. So everybody got the message, and therefore we all supported that cause. So yes, I did look after it. But going back to Ian Adams, he was the one that installed a phenomenal, like an athlete, a phenomenal warm-up technique and breathing technique that was second to none.
Brilliant. He sounds like an absolute gentleman. Denis Vaughn, who do you credit with the start of your career in musical theatre? Now, you discussed Ian. Would Ian be that, or would it be somebody else who...
No, it was a man called John Chilvers, and he was we need more of John Chilvers in theatre. John Chilvers was the general manager and the creative director of the Swansea Grand Theatre. And he saw me doing some, gigging, and said, I want you to do my Joesph. I was 19 years old. I'd just come out of pop music. And John Chilvers, he said, I know you're going to be right for it. And there are pictures on Facebook. They're out there of me when I did that show for John. And John Chilvers, I learnt so much from him. He was a master of his craft. He loved the bar staff. I learned all this from him. Yeah. He said to me, Michael, everyone in this building is important. I've never done theatre. Bar staff, stage, technical, crew, everybody, dancers, everybody that is involved in the theatre is important. And I've carried that through. And even when I was the star of the show and the leading man of shows, which I did for many years, I would always tip the stage door manager. I would always look after people, because I believe that you should always, even though you're technically the star of the show, you need to be magnanimous. Yeah. And you need to lead by example. And I believe that if you perpetuate that feeling, you get more out of what you're doing.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people fail to realise that all those different cogs, if you took one out, whether it be the bar staff or the stage manager, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. I mean, I'd go to the stage doorman and I say, what's your name? For example, in those days, it was Harry at Bristol. And he'd say, no one ever bothers to come and ask my name. He said, thank you so much. I said, well, there's a signed photo as well, Harry. That's for you. And then at the end of the week, I'd give him a tip, because he would make sure I got my phone calls. He'd make sure I got my mail. He was important, because without that, the stage door is the first point of call for us. He was nice. We were greeted with a smile. That put us in a good mood. So he needs to be treated with respect too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Brilliant. I love it. Mike, how was it going from a pop star to a West End star? Did you have to train your voice in a different way?
Well, again, this is the key. I was a drummer primarily, sticks in hand, paradiddle is ready. And that was my main thing. I did vocal with Flintlock, as people know, on all the television footage that's out there on You Must Be Joking, Pauline's Quirks, Magic Circle, and all that.
Yeah.
But to be a vocalist, it was Ian Adams. And when punk rock came along, long story short, we were doing a big concert at the Apollo Victoria Theatre as Flintlock, and we were in the dressing rooms. I was 15 years old.
Wow.
And Bill Grundy's show came on, and a band called the Sex Pistols arrived. They effed and blind and expleted. It's all on social media. And his show, Today at 6, was cancelled. Punk rock had arrived. So glam and teeny bop and all this malarkey, gone. So Ian Adams, my then manager, a guy called Newton, found Ian and said, right, if we're going to be singing now, let's learn what we're doing. And I learned from a master of his craft.
Perfect. That's great. Louise Buick, who are some of the best people you've worked with? Who's really made an impact whilst working on Joesph? Yeah.
Okay, whilst working on Joesph, okay, let's go to Joesph and then I'll go to other performers that have empowered me. David Stedman on the musical direction front, on musicality, on feel, on how breathing, singing verses into chorus in one breath, all techniques like that. Masterful, absolutely brilliant. And also, a guy called Sam Reed who could play the guitar, MD, conduct and play the piano all at the same time, because the keyboard player, while we were in Belfast doing Joesph, fell off the stage because it was a cutout stage. It wasn't a full square, broke his ankle, and Sam Reed, phenomenal musician, had to play the guitar, play the keyboards, conduct the show. Masterful. How's that for talent?
That's incredible.
I mean, that's just gobsmacking. On other areas, Oliver Tobias, I worked with him in Pirates of Penzance. Stunning talent, great stagecraft man, taught me loads. Sir Alec Guinness, again with Pirates of Penzance in the Drury Lane Theatre. Jill Gascoigne, I learned a lot from her. I asked her loads of questions about stage technique, feeling the lights, dropping the lids in the spotlight, things like that. Yeah. Stage whispering, how you can actually still be heard at the back of the audience in the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. Wow. So there's just some of the people that really empowered me, that became mentors. Yeah.
It's great. It's nice to see when a lot of people, and I think when you're referring to back then and now, it seems to be every man for himself nowadays. Well, back then it was all about nurturing and developing talent, I guess.
Correct. Talent, nurturing talent. And I don't see a lot of that going on now, which for theatre, personally, I feel very sad about that, because I consider myself well capable of being a mentor to people coming through into theatre, but there are techniques and there are wisdoms that are just not being passed on. Yeah. And I think that's a real shame. Yeah.
Do you still feel that theatre carries that family vibe that we spoke about earlier on?
I hope so. I think it's too expensive, personally. I think the family are being priced out of theatre. I'm very passionate about that, as my followers know, my warriors. I'm very passionate about the fact that I think theatre should be afforded and ably afforded by everybody. I will do everything I can in my small or medium way when I have a second wave and have a bigger voice piece, maybe, to do something about that. Because children, this is the key. If you don't get Joesph and you don't get pantomime right, children are the future of theatre. And if you don't engage them in theatre at that age, because I was, Amanda was, you know, all the lovely people that are now connecting with me on my Facebook and Twitter that were in the choir with Joesph that remember me, wow. They were kids and they were glued to theatre because of what they experienced. So it's vitally important that we look after that, really.
I just love your little drum thing at the end. I don't know if you're trying to tell me like a joke. That bit of... right, moving on. Fiona Lynn Curtis. Apart from Joesph, which was your favourite character play and where?
My favourite character play? Well, actually, that would be Pirates of Penzance, because it was fresh out of having done pantomime for John Chilvers, and Michael Praed was then playing Frederick, followed by Peter Noon, and then I got my chance to play Frederick, where I was, as I said, Joe Fraser, Jill Gascoigne, Oliver Tobias, Tim Curry, of course, the wonderful Tim Curry was Pirate King, and that was another favourite play, musical of mine. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Brilliant. Angela Dooley. This man was the reason I fell in love with Joesph and saw it 416 times, and then my love for musicals in general. That must be quite cool to hear. Still now, people referring to you as the man of Joesph, and the reason they fell in love with it.
Isn't that a wonderful thing?
Yeah.
And all I ever did, and again, that's the other thing I always maintained. I always went to the stage door. I always gave people time, whether it was the front of house. I still do it now, as all my warriors know. I always made that time, however tired or however knackered I was, because it was a testing, grueling schedule doing that 2 times a day. As I say, with no backtracks, no help. It was just pure, those 14 people on stage. That was it. So, Angela, what can I say except that it's just so humbling and so lovely, and long may that be the case.
Thank you, Angela. You've definitely put a smile back on Mike's face now. Ryan Williams. Now, we spoke about Joesph earlier on, but how long in total did you play Joesph?
Okay, I did an initial just shy of 4 years, which was 84 to 89-ish, okay? I then went on to other things, and then I guested occasionally, 4 months here, 2 months there. The last time I played Joesph was in 2006. One of them was in trouble. So I got a call. I hadn't played him for 8 years. From Henry Metcalfe. And he invited me to Southend, which is just down the road from me, to say, would you come and watch it so that you can step in? We need you for 8 weeks. Yeah. It's not much different. Oh my God. It was a different set. It was different. It was completely different. But I went on Sheffield on the Monday. The reviews are out there, and it was stunning. So it was over a 24-year period in total, but not completely. It was in stabs.
Yeah.
But from 1984 through to 2006, I played him probably over 3,600 times, I would think.
Wow. Now, you obviously spoke about doing it in the 80s and then ended up doing it in 2006, I said. Yeah, I think you said. How is it different? Because obviously we're going from the 80s to technology developing into the 90s. How is it going to different Josephs at different times?
Well, I can be a bit bold now. Where it changed was that I wasn't feeling the emotion of the show.
Right.
I lost the emotion because it was all mic'd. It was all amplified.
Yeah.
It was so clinical that I lost the emotion. That's the biggest impact I can connect to. Yeah. That hit me. The piece was still pretty much the same. They'd cut the long notes and the high notes, but I crept them back in a little bit.
Just sliming.
Yeah, because it makes the audience go, whoa, emotion. I lost a lot of it.
So you lost the emotion in 2006 because obviously it's completely different to what you were trained from, previous icons to do. So how are you feeling about doing the Joesph now in such a digital era online?
Well, hopefully it will speak for itself, because, the voice is the voice, and it's naked in a room through a microphone on an iPad, and the emotion will still be there. Second to that, to answer your question concisely, in digital world, thank God, because we are in a lockdown, yes, we can bring, as you said, Adam, beautifully, a great piece of entertainment to the general public through this unbelievable time that we're all trying to live through right now.
Yeah, it's all new to everybody, isn't it?
Oh, and what you're doing, all of you, is stunning, and hopefully everybody's put their piece in so that this will be an amazing piece of entertainment for everybody in digital world.
Yeah, with the history of Joesph intact.
Absolutely. Marvellous. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. Connor Campbell, could we hear a clip of Give Me My Coloured Coat, please?
Could you hear a clip?
From you. You could use your drums if you want. Mike.
Oh, okay, yeah. Give me my coloured coat, my amazing coloured coat.
I didn't think your face could get any redder, but you managed it there, Mike. Well done.
There you go.
Now, we spoke about Pirates of the Penzance and, of course, Tim Curry, who was in it whilst you were. He played Frankenfurter. Would you ever consider that role?
Love it. I was offered it many times, but I was always doing something else. I'd love to play it.
I think you'd sue it. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love it. It would be absolutely bang on. But the 3 times I was offered to do it, I was either doing Godspell, I was doing Jesus Christ Superstar, or I was back into Joesph, or I was doing my own gigs, and it just didn't work out timing. Actually, that is a little regret. I wished I'd actually done that. I would have thoroughly enjoyed it.
I bet it'd have been a fantastic thing to see as well. Sue Eastwick, did you ever get any fans being nasty whilst you were Joesph?
Okay, to be honest, not nasty, but stalkerish.
Okay.
A bit scary, yeah.
What's the most stalkerish thing? Come on, let's... I mean, they might be watching, so be careful.
Yeah, letters arriving into dressing rooms by hand.
Wow.
So how did they get backstage to do that? And actually, in Manchester, this was, my daughter will vouch for this because she knows how upset I was. 2 personal rings were stolen from my dressing room by that person. I can't prove it. I couldn't prove it then.
Yeah.
But there you are. That's one experience, and that's life. You know, things are a balance.
Yeah.
And when you get the adulation, you also get the other side of it, which can be quite prickly.
Yeah.
But I learned to deal with it. But there's one experience that was for real, and it did kind of freak me out a bit, to be honest, because they were in my dressing room while I was on stage.
That is kind of freaky, but I think a lot of people don't realise that there is a price to fame. You can have all the glory and the money and the exposure, but there's a bit that people seem to forget, which is like what you're speaking about now.
Yeah, and people shouldn't complain about it because it comes with the job.
Yeah.
It comes with the job. That's
Does
it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Sue again has asked, would you ever do a cover of I'm Not Wanted Back at Home from Joesph?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, politically, I mean, I love the song. And as all my warriors know, we used to do it regularly. It's a great piece of the show because when Joesph gets kicked out of home after the big emotion of Close Every Door, you had this little bit of camperoonie of I'm Not Wanted Back at Home. And it turned into a big show number. But for reasons that I can't say, otherwise the lawyers will be all over me, it was taken out of the show. So it's a shame. So I wouldn't cover it because it would ruffle too many feathers.
Yeah. Political correctness gone mad, shall we say?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Alison, hey Mike, is there one performance that stands out in your mind? Which one would it be and why? I think we've had that one, haven't we? But we'll go again. Yeah.
Well, no, there was another one, which was when we were at the Brighton Theatre Royal, and then an up-and-coming Elaine Page was brought to the performance our opening night at the Theatre Royal in Brighton. And those were the days when David Land was in control. And he was the agent for Tim and Andrew. And he was a great fan of mine. And he was a lovely man. And that performance stood out tremendously because David Land was quite powerful. People in the business that have been around will know exactly who David Land was. He was a very cockney. Hello, Mike. All right, how you doing? Yeah, right, David here. Now, look, come here. I want to word with you. Come here. Let's have a Pepsi and let's have a talk. And that's how he spoke. And he was a great supporter of my work. And that night, that opening night at the Theatre Royal Brighton, his then theatre, was stunning. It was just gobsmacking. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now we just chatting to you in this Q&A now. You know, you're not an old timey's in age, but you're very set in the old way, which is not a bad thing because, like you said, I think it's changed a lot now, and people aren't as keen to nurture talent nowadays as they used to be. So this goes perfectly on to Ethan Redmond. He sent us a message. He says, "I'm 20. I've always had a passion for musical theatre, and I have special needs. always have worried that that will be my downfall, and it wouldn't be enough. I've always been bullied and wondered if you had any tips to keep going.
Right, I've got a perfect tip for you. You can Google it as well. I was bullied at school terribly because I was a pop star. I was a teen idol, and I had my head shoved down the toilet and people doing things that you wouldn't believe. I was hung on railings. It was awful, genuinely. But always through it all, my mentor, another one, he's not with us anymore. I called him my second dad, was a gentleman called Philip Gilbert, who was the voice of Tim in The Tomorrow People.
Wow.
And he was the one. Bear in mind, see, people forget, I was only 12 when I was a pop star, or whatever you call it. That's very young to take all that on board.
Yeah.
So you stand strong. You stand strong. There's the picture, you see.
Yeah.
You stand strong. And another man called Wayne Sleep, my God, he had it all thrown at him. It's there. Google Wayne Sleep story. He was bullied. You're too small. You're a short ass. You're this. Find your sweet spot. Yeah. Find what you are absolutely really good at, and then get better at it and get so good at it that no one can touch you on it. I did it with paradiddle diddle, and I did it with vocal breathing technique. I was able to perpetuate those, but I learned that technique. Another man, Frank Sinatra, who used to swim underwater, holding his breath and going through sequences of his songs. That's how, if you listen to Frank Sinatra sing from a technique point of view, he could do these huge, great, weird phrasing things going on all in one breath because he pushed himself. So you keep pushing. Do not let anybody push you down, and find your sweet spot and make it better and make it better and work at it and work at it.
Yeah, remain focused, and Ethan, get the last laugh at the end of it.
Correct, Ethan. Just go down, push those walls down.
Thank you for your question, Ethan. Sue, would you play Robin Hood again?
No reason why not.
I'll do all.
No reason why not. No, I mean, you know your limitations in terms of how you are, castability, whatever. I'm very fortunate. I'm proud to say I work hard at keeping fit. I keep myself fit. I keep myself fit vocally, as all my followers know. With my Warriors, I do my live little gigs now on my radio show while we're locked down. So I'm super fit and ready to go. So I see no reason why. There's a lot of things that I can't do.
Yeah. But if you remain focused, you could.
Correct.
There we go. See? Sharon Alman Prev Ruston. Hello, Mike. Is there any part in a musical that you would love to do and that have not yet played?
I would actually, because I could really, really do the business with the Phantom.
Yeah?
Yeah, very much so. I
Brilliant.
would love to pull all those emotions out of that role. Big time.
And hit those notes.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Now, we spoke about Tomorrow People, obviously a massive part of your career. Would you ever do Tomorrow People as a musical?
Yeah, it's been said, twice in the last 2 decades, it nearly kind of got its life. I don't know why it's not materialised. Interestingly, I've written my own musical about computer games and computer technology, which is kind of on a similar parallel. But in answer to your question, if they did a musical of it, they'd be crazy not to use me anyway. But it would be lovely. And I'm surprised it hasn't been done.
Well, maybe while people are spending time in lockdown, they're getting an opportunity to think about things. And then when it's all over, get out there and do it. I look forward to it.
Absolutely.
What was it like being in Tomorrow People? I mean, it was such a historic TV thing.
Do you know what? It was so groundbreaking, you wouldn't believe it, because it was analog television. I was filming 3 television shows at the same time. I was filming You Must Be Joking. I was filming The Tomorrow People. And I was also doing a thing called Fanfare. And learning the music and the words and the script to all 3. Whilst I was doing schooling, because me and John Somerton, the guitarist of Flintlock, we were under 16, so we had to do schooling for 2 hours every day. And then we were travelling and touring all over the place doing gigs and concerts. So it was a hell of a time. And it was groundbreaking because all I know it's funny when you look back now, but all the effects, the special effects that were in those shows then, back then, that was groundbreaking.
Yeah. It's. I think I remember seeing it, and I know of it. You know, I think when I was growing up, I watched it, and it was just brilliant. Like you said, it was groundbreaking. Everything about it was that, and to be a part of something like that, that must just be amazing.
Oh, it's amazing because I'm proud to say, we're part of that stalwart following for the
Yeah.
Tomorrow People. It's become a classic, like all the sci-fi things. I mean, Star Wars is in a different league, and
Yeah.
Star Trek is in a different league. But they become so ground into to television history, and it's nice to be a part of it.
Part of a revolution, Mike, I would say.
Hey.
Definitely. Now, we spoke earlier about Phantom of the Opera. Somebody's been in touch on the comments below. Could we get a demo of Music of the Night from Phantom from you, Mike?
Well, if you want a demo, yes, you
Take it away, buddy.
you can. Oh, yeah, well, you'll have to pay for me to sing it. No,
Oh.
I'm quite happy to do a demo for you. Yeah,
Oh.
but I'll do a full 4 minute version and send it to you.
Well, there we go. Get it over. Get it on your social media. We'll get it
Yeah,
shared. There we go.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I hope you're a
Yeah.
man of your word, Mike. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to this. Laura Duthry Cooper said she would love to do a Phantom duet with you.
Well, Laura, let's do it someday. When lockdown's finished, it will be easier. We can do it with digital wizardry, as we know at the moment. Yeah, a little collaboration there would be amazing. Sounds good.
We look forward to it.
Yeah.
Julie Kirkton, thank you, Julie. Is there any role that you would not do?
That's interesting. The roles I wouldn't do are probably roles that are, although, yes, I'm mature in my years now, for sure, but I don't exude that. So it's the older roles that maybe for my years I should be playing, but I don't look right for.
Right.
So it's those older roles that are brilliant, like Fagin. What a great role that is. But I would be wrong for that. Now, I'd love to play it, but it wouldn't be right.
Yeah. Would there be any role that you wouldn't do because you couldn't relate with that character or you don't agree with that character?
The child catcher.
Okay, valid point. I'll take that.
No, can't relate to that one.
I like that. And Barbara, as a fitness fan, would you ever diversify and make it a living?
Never really thought of it. I mean, I've trained in enough gyms in my years to be able to put a DVD together. But hey, maybe that's something in the can for the near future. Yeah. Out of lockdown, Mike Holoway goes digital DVD. Keep fit out of the lockdown.
We're developing quite a list of things you're doing after lockdown here, aren't we?
I'm making notes here, boy.
Now, talking of gym and musical theatre and your pop career, this is a question for me, and I'm intrigued to know. What is your soundtrack when you're in the gym?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, okay, it's Rocky.
Okay. Eye of the Tiger?
Yeah. I just turn that up, boy.
On repeat?
The sweat pours out, preferably. Yeah. Oh, mate, that is just so, rising up, down on the street. Got the power, got the glory. I mean, you just go on the bench, do the shoulders. It's all happening.
I'm sure lots of your fans that are watching this right now have visions of you in your Joesph loincloth running up the Philadelphia stairs.
Here's a funny story. Live on stage, we were at the Hillingdon, the Theatre Beck's Theatre in Hillingdon. And when you underdress, you've got the loincloth on, which you put on, which has got the bit that goes down the front.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you overdress it with the skirt that you wear when you're in jail, so that you rip it off and it reveals the loincloth to sing Close Every Door. Well, the bit that flops down to cover your bits.
I see where this is going.
It's stuck. It's stuck up. It's stuck there. So lucky I had a jockstrap on. It was interesting.
You never know. Some of your fans, they might have paid extra.
That's a true story. It's very true.
I love it. I love seeing these insights into what actually happens, because everyone thinks it's all true and professional and everything's right, but there's a lot more that goes on.
Another one, we were at the Birmingham Hippodrome. In those days, we used to have a donkey come on. When Jacob came to Egypt, no longer feeling old. And the donkey come on with Jacob, with his stuff, and the stage crew thought it would be hilarious to give the donkey loads of polo mints. Well, for those that don't know, polo mints and donkeys do not go well together.
No, they don't.
And the donkey did the poop all over the stage, but it was runny. It was runny, and I didn't see it because I'm getting ready, because in those days we used to enter on the bike in a big coat. So I didn't see any of this. Everyone was sort of kerfuffling around, but I'm doing a big costume change, getting on the bike. They pushed me on and I slid and skidded on said poop and ended up with my front wheel over the front of the stage, virtually touching the musical director.
Oh.
But the show carried on.
The show must go on.
Yeah.
Ethan again has got in touch. What's been the biggest challenge you've faced in your career? Has there ever been any moments that you stopped and thought, "Is this the career for me?" And how have you kept going throughout your career?
Okay, I've kept going because I believe what was installed in me was don't let them beat you down. I did experience hashtag Me Too scenarios, and they were the ones of my darkest times because decisions were made that were beyond my control because of certain pressures, let's just say, in a nice way. And they were dark times for me because it made me exit for a while because I just thought, wow. But hey, at the end of the day, whatever beats in you, and it does course through my veins. And, although it's not easy in the industry at the moment, and I've lost a load of work now, like loads of us have, all lined up, ready to go. I was rejigging things. It was really working well. It's all gone. So you have to dig really deep into those reserves. And, my wife Emma of 7 years now, we've been together for over a decade, and although whether she's listening or not I don't know, I really wasn't going to come back. I really wasn't, but you are what courses through your veins, and it's passionate within, and that's what I do. So going back to Ethan, there's the perfect example. Do not be bashed down.
Yeah, and I guess that's a true testament to your professionalism and your determination that when you've got a passion, no one's going to stop you. You're going to continue to do it, and the show must go on. We keep saying that, but it's
that's why I went into writing, because while I'm writing now, I've got my radio show, Chris Phillips, at Second City Radio, great radio platform. I did an interview with him to launch a single of mine 2 years ago, and he was the one that opened the door. I'd never thought about being a presenter, but he gave me the opportunity. And like I do with everything, it's all or nothing. And now I produce, write, arrange all the jingles, all the music, all the sketches, all the quirky characters. I've got a great man called Clark Cowell who does all these voices for my show. And, so again, Ethan, going back to you, there's a perfect example of I didn't know presenting, but Chris gave me the tools. He said, there's your mic, there's the ground rules, that's what you need to do. Now do with it what you want. And I did.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
Jill Eastman, would you accept a role in a soap? If so, what type of role and what show? Now, we asked this the other day to Keith, and we got an incredible answer. I can't wait for yours.
I think the obvious one is, for me, is EastEnders. And I would like to go in there as a kind of business entrepreneur that wants to kind of take out the Vic and raise it to the ground and build something futuristic and really ruffle feathers and ladies along the way.
like an really evil Ian Beale.
Yeah, but with charm.
With charm.
With charm. Yes,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So there you go.
Okay, I will ask you one more. It's been great chatting to you, Mike. Thank you so much. It is from Deanne Davies. Any plans to come back to Liverpool for a Warrior reunion?
There was talks of doing something because I do my live gigs, and that's where the drums come into it because people don't expect it. I do a big drum solo in the show. So in answer to your point, there were things in the pipeline. They have been thwarted by what's happened. But hopefully, the beginning of next year, with more singles out, keep pushing it on the radio, doing things like this. Going back to you guys, big compliment, putting together a digital Joesph concert experience so that we can all enjoy, the now, the then, and put us all together and make it sing and make our goosebumps have goosebumps. And I'll be out there again, hopefully next year, to do a Warrior reunion concert of some kind in the Liverpool area and in other areas, hopefully too, Diane. Absolutely. Yeah. Rock on. Rock on.
Rock on. Thank you, Mike. Now, obviously, you've got so much coming up that we've spoken about, that you've got plans to do Phantom of the Opera, your Warrior reunion, going to EastEnders, etc., etc. Where can people find more information about you? Because there's a lot. They might want to follow you now. Where can they get you?
Yeah, well, lovely. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to these guys, the backbone of what's going on here with the Joesph Concert platform in digital world. You're all doing great work. People don't realise what goes on in the background. Going back to Chris Phillips, running a radio station. Wow, I would do it. I'm happy to be one of his presenters, but wow, the backbone. Congratulations, guys, on what you're doing. And going forward, obviously, it's going to be great. And looking forward to the reaction to everybody to the Joesph concert. But there's Mike Holoway on Facebook. So that's Twitter feed is at Mike_Holoway. You've got at Mike Holoway Artist on Facebook. You've got www.mikeholoway.co.uk, which is a basic website at the moment. But that's because people know that during my radio show, we have a big chat room. We get hundreds and thousands of comments and connections going on. And you can find me on all of those platforms, and I'm always obviously available. There are singles and material available on Amazon, iTunes and Google Play, but Mike Holoway Music at gmail.com is my music platform, which is personal to me. And anything you want to know, just email me there. And anything you want, because I've written over 100 songs now, I can let you have them. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I can't let you go, Mike, without asking you the famous question I've asked everyone all week. Can you name all the colours in order, and how many are there?
Well, there's 29, and it was red and yellow and green and brown and scarlet and black and ochre and peach, ruby and olive and violet and fawn, lilac and gold and chocolate and mauve, cream and crimson and silver and rose, azure and lemon and russet and grey, purple and white and pink and orange and blue.
Just wait and see if you got it right. Bear with you. Spot on, Mike. Well done.
I haven't done that for years.
You would think about it. Mike, thank you so much for chatting to us tonight. I'll let you get back to your producing, and I'm sure many people follow you on your platforms. Thank you for taking the time out to be part of Joesph, and stay safe, buddy.
Listen, stay safe, everybody, in lockdown. Remember, we're not stuck indoors. We're safe indoors. And let's get this right, because we need to. Love you loads. Take care.
Cheers, Mike. Take care, buddy. And don't forget, Joesph will be happening very soon. Keep up to date on our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And remember, you can donate. The details are on your screen about now. Get on there, donate generously. All these people are giving up their time to entertain you. It's the least you could do to help charities in this difficult time. And I'll be back with you, I think, in a few days for more Q&As. I know I've got one up and coming with your executive producer, Adam Lacey, who I've known for many years. So that's going to be an interesting one. I've got lots of tales about him. I'll see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe. Keep following the page. Get your questions in. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.